few years ago, I was fortunate enough to be a contractor at the largest brewery in Australia. Things got interesting when they decided to renovate a 100-year-old multi-storey building, which was to become their administration office building. During the renovations, one morning when the builders turned up, they found much of their equipment missing from a secured steel chest in a secured area in the basement. They were pretty worried about who might have taken all that equipment, but nothing came of it, so they had to do the best they could. They spoke to me. I said, I can't help them. Okay, they were good guys, not to worry. Well, a little later that day, security reported that all of the missing equipment had been neatly stacked on the empty 5th floor, which had not yet been even renovated. It was big open space, and in one corner, all the shovels and the picks and their equipment was neatly stacked. Well, okay, over a few more days, stuff kept disappearing. In fact, one day, even the wheelbarrows went missing. They were all found on the 5th floor. Now, the 5th floor being an empty floor, normally they kept it all locked. In this short period of disappearances, one evening, one of my female staff reported to me that a middle-aged man dressed in brown top and grey trousers, keep that in mind. This middle-aged man, whom she'd never seen before, was on her floor, which was the 3rd floor, and he just walked right past her without looking at her, without saying a word, and just walked towards the fire escape stairs. It was not normal to have a stranger in the building after hours, as the building was secured. I reported this to security, but would you believe, the next night, my staff saw the same man wearing the same clothes at the same time on the same floor. She got a little bit spooked. So I went to security, whose office was across the street, and asked if they wouldn't mind putting a guard in my building, keeping an eye out particularly on the 3rd floor, as my staff was starting to get a little bit worried about a strange man walking around. Sure enough, the next night, which was the first night of guard duty on that floor, there he was. The man appeared. The guard saw him. The man disappeared down the fire escape stairs. The guard gave chase. Couldn't exactly see him, but he saw him before the man got into the staircase. Chased him down. Got to the bottom. There's a big steel fire door, which makes a noise when you open and close it. Nobody opened it. Nobody closed it. There was nobody there. There was nothing. The guard got a little bit spooked, so he wandered off across the road to his office and told his supervisor he didn't want to continue. I told a little white lie to my staff that security had caught the man and escorted him out of the building because he wasn't supposed to be in the building. So she was a bit happier. The following night, as the security had decided to have two men going through the late night security check, they were on again the third floor, going through, switch on the lights, check everything that's okay, switch off the lights, move down to the next floor. They switched on the lights and they saw him. They saw him at the end of the corridor. Now this corridor goes around the perimeter of the building. So one security guard went left, the other went right, and they went down and they thought they would catch him at the end of the building. They saw him disappear in front of their eyes. Well, these two guys couldn't get out of the building fast enough. As they were walking towards the lift to get out of the building, all of the petitions, the office petitions, started shaking violently. Needless to say, these two guys never came back into the building. Subsequently, seeing there were no watchmen wanting to come over to the building to do late night security checks, it was up to the chief security officer to do the security check late at night. Now, at the end of shifts, I, along with one of the security guards, would go through, lock up the building, switch off all the lights, make sure all the doors were locked, and all was fine. All it was for a security guy to go through late at night. So it was up to the chief security guy. He went over to the building from his office, went into the foyer. He approached the lift, which suddenly took off without his touching anything. He thought, strange, that's not normal. So he pushed the button for the lift to come back down. The lift would not come back down from the executive floor. So he decided to get the service lift, which he did, went up to the executive floor. Lo and behold, all the lights were on, all doors were open. Now he knew that about an hour and a half, 2 hours earlier, I, along with one of the security guards, had locked the building up. Then he thought, hang on, the lights were not on when I left my office to come into this building. What's going on? He went through the floor, locking every door, switching off every light. He got back to the lift, make sure everything was off, went down the lift, went across the street to his office, turned around, the lights were still on the executive floor. Strange. So he wasn't going to go back on his own. So he got a security guy to go with him. In the meantime, they just thought that the lights were on because he'd switched them on, but not the second time. So they went over, they went up, the lights were on, but all the doors were locked. He thought, oh, fair enough. Okay, he went to switch off the lights from the main switch near the lift. Suddenly, the security door on the corridor opened. This was a glass door which led to the executive offices. Strange. I think he was holding hands with the other security guy when they went there and had a look around, locked the door, made sure it was secured, hopped in the lift and couldn't get out of there fast enough. So the following Saturday morning, one of the contractors was putting in new cables for telephone extensions. When he got the feeling there was somebody there, he turned around and, believe it or not, there was a middle-aged gentleman wearing brown top and grey trousers walking across the floor. He looked up and said to him, "What can I do for you, mate?" There was no answer. The man was walking like a zombie, looking straight ahead. Didn't speak, just kept on walking and left the room through the wall. Yeah. He walked through the wall. Well, needless to say, the cables were not finished. The security guards said that when the contractor crossed the street, he was in shock. They sat him down, tried to get him to explain what was going on. He couldn't do it. So they called an ambulance. The poor guy spent 3 months off work, suffering from shock. The security manager decided, we've had enough. I've lost 4 or 5 of my men who won't work in that building. Now we've got this, we've had to call an ambulance. He said, we can't go on like this. So he decided to do research on the building. And what he found was that when the building was being put up about 100 years earlier, a gentleman had fallen down the lift shaft and died. And that lift shaft was on the other side of that wall. Happily, that man obviously was laid to rest, never came back, and the poor contractor did come back, but he was never the same. Never the same. Okay, that's my little story of Ghost at Work. And if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. And keep looking out for my Tony Talking the Talk videos. I'm going to prepare a very exciting one next few days. And I think you might enjoy it. Until then, keep smiling. Oh, by the way, don't forget to give me a comment. That'll help the algorithms, as I said, whatever that means. Keep smiling. Be happy. Bye.